Hello everyone, this is CACS Sparsh Dodani this side. I hope you're doing well. Your preparation must be smooth sailing. So I came across a case study in our case study book Samadhan, and instantly I thought that I should share that with you, and hence this video. So without wasting any time, let us jump onto the case study, which is case study number 32 in our Samadhan book, and let's dig right into it. So Lakshya has been recently appointed as chartered accountant with effect from 1st April 2022 in a company namely Lotus Private Limited, which is incorporated 6 years ago with a paid up capital of 1.5 crore rupees. That we should remember right now. 1.5 CR is your paid up capital. Okay. Lotus Private Limited is a maintenance company and is operating a commercial complex, a state-of-the-art mall located in Delhi. So the location is Delhi. Okay. The mall has been developed by another company, hereinafter referred as the mall developer. It is developed by some other company which will be known as mall developer in the case study. But after the commencement of operation, the maintenance service in respect of the mall have been outsourced to Lotus. So the maintenance service was then outsourced to the Lotus itself. So it came back to Lotus. Yeah. After that, since Lakshya wants to ascertain GST liability to be paid for the month of April 22, he needs to do reconciliation of the data fed in the books of account for cross verification to remove discrepancy if any. For this purpose, Lakshya has gathered the following facts and information for doing reconciliation exercise to compute GST liability. Nothing much on that. All the units which have been sold by small developer are occupied by the owner themselves. The units that is the shops and the places and everything are occupied by the owner. Some units of the mall which have not been sold have been provided on lease. Okay, which were not sold provided on lease by the mall developer to tenants. Lotus Private Limited does billing of each charge to those only units which are either occupied or which are taken on rent. It is simple basic sense that you will charge only to the units which are occupied or on lease. So nothing to worry about that. That is, either it should have been purchased by the respective owner or it should have been rented. Simple. Assume GST rate wherever applicable is 18%. So 18% is our GST rate. Okay, no issues. The description of nature of revenue which the Lotus Private Limited collects from its customers is mentioned as follows. So what are the revenues for Lotus? The first is common area maintenance charges, CAM, are the fees paid by the unit owners, tenants to help cover costs associated with the overhead, blah 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 blah. Lotus Private Limited charges common area maintenance from the customer at the rate of rupees 10 per square feet. But here one thing is that rupees 10 per square feet is of super built up area. आगे आपको पता चलेगा why super built up area. Just remember this, super built up area. Yeah. After that, electricity charge. It collects electricity charges from its customer on reimbursement basis. Okay? It was pays for electricity and then reimburse it from the customers. Simple, nothing to worry about. A separate billing is done in this regard wherein GST is not levied. Okay. There are separate meter connection attached to the shop from Lotus Private Limited on the basis of meter reading collects charge from the customers in the form of reimbursement. The state government which supplies electricity to the mall and its units thereon does not charge any GST along with the bill amount. For limited purpose of this case, assume the billing of electricity charges is exempt from tax. We have to assume that basic. On the contention that the supplier is acting as a pure agent covered under Rule 33. Okay, because it is acting as a pure agent, so you don't need to raise any invoice. Simple. DG backup or DG units, it's like generator units and everything. Due to vague interpretation of power outages in the region, electricity through gensets, the DG, is provided. Lotus Private Limited has its own DG to provide electricity supply. In such case, DJ fixed charges per kilowatt is rupees 500. That is the fixed charge, and then is the unit per unit charge as well, which is 12 rupees per unit. Okay, basic. Customers who fail to make the payment within the due stipulated time, they are required to deposit interest. Okay, for the late payment of outstanding dues due to Lotus Private Limited at the rate of 15% per annum. Okay, so their rent and everything which they fail to deposit in the stipulated time, they have to give interest at the rate 15% per annum after the due date. Vending charges. Lotus Private Limited on the each bill prepared of common area maintenance levy vending charges from each customer. Okay, so the 25 rupees per bill we can say is charged from the customer. Just like the convenience charges that are taken by the websites and everything. Interest-free maintenance security. Okay, this is like the security deposit. IFMS is a lump sum amount which is the mall developer charges in the lieu of maintaining the mall. As per the agreement between the mall developer and the Lotus Private Limited, IFMS is amount to be credited in the account of Lotus Private Limited at the time of registry of concerned person. So basic thing is when a person gets registered for, like when he's a owner or tenant, he pays a IFMS charge which is refundable as per the agreement. Okay, so during the month of April, so these are the things. Expenses incurred, GST receivable on expenses as per the invoicing. This is as per the invoicing. Okay, but what is important for us? Eligible inputs. There may be some inputs which are ineligible. So what is important for it? The inputs which are eligible. So we have to take this only. Eligible input 60,000, eligible input 60. So CGST, SGST, IGST, we have the eligible inputs. Okay, maybe that may be handy after that. Okay, send other relevant data. Common maintenance charges. So we have to go for note 1. There are 500 units. Okay, the additional information. So see, whenever we will do calculation of the questions that we have, we will only calculate for the occupied and let out units, because which are held in inventory, there's no billing for that. As we read earlier, there's no billing for the units which are held. There's only billing for the units which are either sold or are leased. Okay, carpet area it is given, but as I told you earlier, to remember, super built up area. For what? The common maintenance charges. So you have to consider the super built up area for that, not the carpet area. Then again, the kilowatt for TG, so this would be the fixed charge and this would be the per unit charge. We have to take both of them. Okay, then number of registries done during the month 25, and amount of IMFS from each customer, that is 30,000. Okay, okay, no issues. Just to ask you, is any GST applicable on this IFMS? Just listen, just think, and let's get back to that. Okay, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, the accounts department has received received a request from the unit of owner Mukesh, who runs his own business at Noida, Uttar Pradesh. He wants to receive the bill as per his business address situated in Noida. Okay, so the mall is in Delhi, and the Mukesh, who operates from Noida, wants the bill to be made in his business address, which is Noida. So is it possible? Think about that as well. Okay. During the year, Lotus Private Limited in the month of October 22 took a loan of rupees, I guess it is 1 CR from another corporate, Hamara Limited, okay, which is related to Lotus. Okay, they are a related party. Loan was taken with the purpose to deposit statutory dues of GST, which was pending for a long period of time. The loan was repaid by the Lotus Private Limited to Hamara Limited in the month of February. Hence, the closing balance has closing balance is nil because they repaid it. Okay. Further, Lotus Private Limited has defaulted in the payment of service tax of rupees 30 lakhs for a long time, 6 years, as per the notice received from Service Tax Department, and this liability is pending even at the 31st March, that is the closing. The state amount could not be deposited even after 31st March, any point of time during the year. This disputed matter is still pending at SASTAT. You know what SASTAT is. For litigation after going through appropriate levels of adjudicating authorities of various. According to Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, expense reimbursement, the reimbursement which we take as articles for our audit expenses, that is what they are talking about. Okay, expenses reimbursements fraud accounts for 21% of fraud in small businesses, and those will less than 100 employees, and 11% in large business. There's much information we need just to filter it out what is important for our question. So in this question, in this case study, we are first reading the case study, but the either approach can be, you will first read the question and then jump onto the case studies. It depends on the case study to case study basis. This case study particular is very interesting. That's why we are reading the case study first. Either way, if the case study seems that you have read it earlier or that seems easy on the first go, then you can just jump onto the question and then go to the case study. Okay, yeah. Company internal controls are not up to the mark, so Lakshya has been told to the management to implement policies. Okay, Lakshya is we are Lakshya. Lotus Private Limited has the policy of expense reimbursement, wherein person who is claiming reimbursement has to follow set procedure to claim the expense incurred by him. However, there have been many instances in the past where it has been reported the false claims are being taken by employees by creating fake vouchers. The employees have been billing for travel and expenses that never materialized, cancelled airline tickets, seminar or convention, registration fees, tuition reimbursement, and professional repair. So the employees were like getting the bogus reimbursements from the company. Yeah. It may also happen that the concerned employees who are the authorized person may also be the part of this practice. So सबके सब जो बोलते हैं ना सबके सब चोर है साले, तो everything is mixed up here. Company wants to fix this problem to ensure that there is no siphonage of funds. At present, only bill along with the voucher needs to be provided to accounts department for claim wise. Thereafter, it gets approved. So at present, the voucher only needs to be submitted by the employees, but definitely they will ask us the Lakshya that what should be done to avoid these mistakes. Lotus Private Limited during the year has donated rupees 8,000 in cash to NGO Utho. Okay, Utho. In the area which is working for the upliftment of the weaker section of the society. Utho is registered with Income Tax Authority, okay, and the donation made to NGO get eligible for ATG deduction. Now the question arises, ATG deduction mein, how much you can donate by cash? Is there any limit, or is there a complete ban on cash? So what is that? Lotus Private Limited reported profit before tax of rupees 5,40,000. Then this is the relevant information after that. The waste to casual workers, interest on late payment, depreciation, and interest on fixed deposits. Okay. So now let's jump on to the question. We got the whole case study, what is happening, what is not. Now let's go to the question. Suggest how the issue can be resolved for the request received from a unit owner Mukesh to send his invoice with corresponding GST to his Noida address. So as I told you, see, in this case, what would be the place of supply? The place of supply would be the place where the immovable property is situated, which is Delhi. And you all know Noida is different, Delhi is different. Noida UP, Delhi is Delhi. So then what would be the place of supply? Delhi. So what would be applicable? CGST and SGST. But in this case, if we issue the invoice to Mukesh in Noida address, then IGST would be attracted, and this won't be possible because the immovable property is situated in Delhi. That's why invoice cannot be prepared of Noida address since IGST would be levied. Simple question, but there's a tricky point to it. So that's why this makes this case study very unique and interesting. That's why I've taken this case study. Okay, the second question. Lotus Private Limited does the billing of those services separately which are subject to exemption from GST, like electricity. As we read earlier, GST is exempt from tax for this case study. What should be the terminology for such kind of document? Very simple. What would you issue if the goods are not subject to tax? Tax invoice, no. Refund voucher, no. Exempt invoice, no. What is the case? Bill of supply. Simple. Calculate the taxable amount under the PGBP from Lotus Private Limited for assessment 23-24. So let's go to the chart here, the table here. So what is the profit before tax? 5,40,000. Would this be included? Okay, yeah, no issue with that. Then what we have to do, this is already included in this, so we don't have to do anything about it. The interest on late payment of TDS, it is deductible, or is it deductible or non-deductible? It is non-deductible. That's why we have to add it back. So 5,40,000 plus 1 lakh. Then we have to add back the depreciation as per the companies as well. And then we have to deduct the depreciation as per income tax act. And one more thing we have to deduct. What? The interest on fixed deposit, because it is income from other sources, not PGBP. Then we will get our answer. So the answer is like 5,40,000, add 1 lakh, depreciation is add back. Oh, sorry, one more thing we forgot. I'm sorry for that. ATG deduction, as I told you, ATG deduction, जो मैंने आपसे पूछा था. So the case is, any deduction in cash about 2,000 is disallowed, and this deduction is rupees 8,000 in cash. Therefore, it is disallowed. That is why we add it back, and then less depreciation as being income tax X and less interest on fixed deposit, we will get the loss under the head PGBP of 2,02,000. So this is the correct answer. How much deduction can claim under ATG? Okay, so we got this. None of the above, because it is about 2,000, which is disallowable. Whether the loan obtained from Amaranth needs to be reported in Form 3CV. Yes, definitely, because even if the closing balance was nil, the loan should be reported even if it has been squared off during the year. Simple question. Now, analyze the issue of Lotus Private Limited for billing done to customer, accordingly compute the net GST liability. This is what make this case study interesting. This is a very interesting part of it, the GST liability. So let's jump onto it. Okay. Yeah. So computation of taxable supply. First of all is the common maintenance charges. How it will be covered, how it will be calculated. Let's go on that. So number of units is 300 and occupied units 300, let out units is 400. Then it is on the super built up area, right? And that is into 10 of super built up area. What is the super built up area? 1,50,000 and 50,000. That is 2 lakh. 2 lakh into 10, that is your 20 lakh. So that is here. The 20 lakh. Electricity charges, it won't count in the taxable supplies because it is exempt. Then after DG backup charges. So as I told you, there are two charges for DG backup. There's one per kilowatt charges and per unit charges. So the per kilowatt charges, what are the kilowatts? 750 and 250 into 500. So that is your 1000 into 500. That is your 5 lakhs, which is here. Okay. Then interest received excluding GST. So why? That's all we told. So what is the interest received here? This is the gross interest, and as we know, GST is already included in this. So then we have to subtract the GST element of it, and then we have to write the net in gross interest received, and which would be 2,70,000 divided by 3,18,600 divided by 1. Then DG unit charges, simple. Total units, that is your 5,000 into 12. This gives us the total DG unit charges, that is 60,000. Now, after that, credit notes with respect to common area maintenance charges issued to customers within the same month of billing. So that we have to subtract the credit notes from that as well. So the credit note will be subtract. This one is with this one with them. Advance received from customer for common maintenance charges. We know the amount will be included as and when it is received or invoice is issued, whichever is earlier. So amount received in advance. So we will include this amount in our tax liability. Okay. Now after that, next point. And this is also gross advance. So what we will do? 3,54,000 divided by 1.18. We will get the answer 3 lakhs. And that we will include in our taxable supply. Billing, this is billing. Billing done to customer for common area maintenance charges from whom gross advance as reflected in bank statement was received in February 21. So see, the gross advance was already received. Okay, but the billing is done in April. So we have to deduct the amount from now because it was charged to our taxable supply when it was received. That was in February 21. So now we have to subtract that from here, and that would be the net amount. So 7,800 would be charged as 60,000. Okay. Then again, the vending charges as in when given. The vending charges, referred note 1, vending charges are given. Just a second, just look out for the vending charges. Okay, 25 from the customers. The total customers are 400. So 400 into 25, that is your 10,000. 10,000 is your vending charge. As simple as that. So that will be included. So now, and as I told you, the interest-free security deposit, as we are not charging and we are not paying any interest, and that is refundable, so it would not be liable for GST. It is non-taxable. That's why it won't be included in our taxable supply. So the total taxable supply comes to rupees 30 lakhs. Okay. And then after that, GST payable 30 lakhs, 9%, 2,70,000. SGST payable 30 lakhs into 9%. Then the credit, which is input, which is available. So as I told you earlier, we only can take the eligible input. That is your 60,000, 60,000 and 20,000. So total GST input. Then we have to calculate the total liability. Is simple. Yeah. So GST payable 2,70,000, 2,70,000, 540. First we will deduct the CGST from CGST, then SGST from CGST, then IGST. In either case, here it is deducting from CGST. Then the net GST payable in CGST is 1,90,000 and SGST is 2,10,000. So total GST payable is 4 lakhs. These are the calculation which we have already done. So there's nothing to go about it. Date of issuance or date of receipt, as I told you, whichever is earlier. If advance is before, then we have to, that would be the time of supply. Okay. Now vending charges, as I told you, total units into 25. Now the 7th question. Being Lakshya, how would you strengthen the company's internal control as suggested by the management to make the system robust by freeing companies with respect to expense reimbursement? What should be the procedure or minimum step to claim expense reimbursement so that loopholes, if any, can be avoided? So here you have to advise as a chartered accountant, as a CA, what you would do in such scenario to minimize such frauds to the basic minimum level. So it should be duly submitted in standard application whose format is common for all class of employees. Application form must be signed by the claimant. Okay, the application date cannot be earlier than the invoice date. That is very basic thing. Invoice आपको मिलेगी, उसके बाद ही आप application दोगे. The application form should be supported by original invoice of expense claim. Frame and maintain a strong reimbursement policy or guidelines as to process the reimbursement. The nature and purpose for which expense was done need to be ascertained. Check whether the invoices are correct, and also you can add more points that it should be equitable. The expense should be fair, कि ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ भी ज़्यादा कुछ ऐसे expense कर रहे हैं. Check whether it was in need, कि ज़रूरी था क्या वो expense उस time पे. And basic things like the person who is filing the application is approving cannot be the same. या as भी check कि वहाँ पे same रहते थे, तो there should be some other person to check the claim of others. Application form must be approved by competent authority. There must be approved rate for each nature of expenses. Yeah, daily allowances, conveyance per kilometer and everything. And there should be like cap on such airline tickets, train tickets and everything you should include. Yeah, if any advance was provided to employees and is it still outstanding for a long time, ensure that loan has been received and deducted everything. Yeah, simple. That is the question on your knowledge on what you would do as a chartered accountant. You should write it. So basically it would be of roughly 4 to 5 marks. 6 to 7 points would be more than enough for that. Yeah. That last question. What would be the implications in company's audit report as a reporting by the company's auditor for let me stop here. Let me tell you one thing. There's a early bird discount going on with the SAMADHAN case study books, and there are many case studies, many interesting case studies like this in the SAMADHAN case study book. So do check it out in the link in the description. You can buy SAMADHAN from the website in the link in the description, and do check it out. It is very, very, very helpful tool for you to clear CA final IBS. Yeah. What would be the implication in company's audit report as per the reporting by companies default committed by Lotus Private Limited? So what would be the disclosure here? I think you all know. The audit geeks must know, right? So the first of all, we have to check whether the companies, whether the Lotus Private Limited comes under the purview of GARO. Okay, not a holding. So the companies which are exempt, not a holding or subsidiary of a public company, paid up share capital reserve equal to 1 crore at the reporting rate, borrowing less than rupees 1 crore, revenue less than rupees 10 crores. Accordingly, GARO is applicable to Lotus because as we have read earlier, the paid up share capital is 1.5 crores. The auditor of such companies to whom GARO is applicable are required to report matters specified in this order. The auditor shall report under Caro 23 with respect to the statutory dues, whether याद है statutory dues का आता है, which are is regular, is the company regular, and if not regular, then statutory outstanding for more than 6 months need to be disclosed. If regular, then we don't have to disclose anything. If not regular and the dues which are pending for more than 6 months, then we have to disclose. If any taxes have not been deposited because of dispute, the amount of dispute and the forum with the litigation in. So how we will disclose it? According to the information and expression given to us on the basis of our examination of the records, details of due services has not been deposited as on 31st March on account of dispute given below. Finance Act 1994, service tax and penalties 30 lakhs, forum where dispute is pending. So yeah, basically you all got the information, you all got to know how case studies would be framed in IBS, and this in particular was a very interesting case study, and there are many interesting case studies as I told you in Samadhan Case Study Book, so do check it out in the link in the description. And on that note, I hope this video was very helpful for you, and bye bye, take care, see you next time.